I never meant to wander into the district where humans go missing. The air was thick with smoke and humming neon, the kind that buzzed like insects inside your skull. They called it the Market of Shadows, though no human dared call it that out loud. You could feel it the moment you stepped across the rusted gates. This wasn't a place built for us. Cages lined the crooked street, each one humming with faint alien energy. Figures crouched inside, some human, some not. Their eyes followed me, hollow and hungry. It smelled of burned metal and fear. And then I saw her. She wasn't like the others. She sat in a cage at the center, framed by iron bars as if the world itself couldn't contain her. Pale light spilled across her skin, and her hair, gold and untamed, fell like fire through shadows. Her eyes caught mine, violet, unblinking, full of something I hadn't seen in years, defiance. She leaned forward, lips barely moving. Her voice slipped through the chaos, a whisper that didn't belong in this world. Take me away. It was madness. It was a death sentence. But in that instant, I knew my life would never be mine again. They say humans adjusted well to living under alien rule. That's a lie. We didn't adjust, we endured. The day they arrived, everything changed. Our skies became theirs, our cities bent beneath their weight, and our freedom was sold piece by piece for scraps of technology that barely felt real in our hands. We traded sovereignty for survival. Some people learned to live with it. Others, people like me, just kept their heads down, working long shifts in the ruins of factories that no longer produced anything human. But there were whispers, rumors of districts where alien commerce thrived beyond Earth law. They said everything had a price there, even people. Curiosity is a dangerous thing. That's what dragged me into the Market of Shadows that night. The streets were ruins stitched together with scaffolding, patched walls glowing with alien glyphs that pulsed faintly like veins under skin. The noise was unbearable. Alien tongues hissing, human voices bartering desperately, the clang of steel on steel. And beneath it all, the silence of those in cages, sitting as though waiting for a verdict they already knew. I thought I could just look. A quick walk through, a glimpse of forbidden trade, and then leave. But the truth is, once you step in, the market doesn't let you leave unchanged. I remember my eyes dragging across the stalls. Jars of luminous fluids, artifacts pulsing with a faint hum, weapons shaped like nothing I'd ever seen. And then I saw them, cages. Too many of them. Men and women with vacant stares, their faces streaked with grime. They weren't just humans either, there were others, beings I didn't have words for. Some shimmered faintly like mirages, others looked carved from stone. All of them were chained, silent, broken. And then her. She didn't belong to the filth and despair around her. Even caged, she radiated something raw, untouchable. Her gown, torn but still elegant, clung to her like shadows woven from silk. Black lace traced her skin, curling around her arms like vines. She looked like she should have been standing on a throne, not on cold stone behind iron bars. Her eyes locked onto me with such intensity one froze. There was no pleading in them, no despair, only defiance, as if daring me to look away. And when her lips parted, her voice cut through the noise, soft yet sharp enough to sink into my bones. Take me away. It was absurd. I wasn't a hero. I wasn't even brave. Just a man scraping by in a world that didn't care if I vanished tomorrow. But the way she said it, it wasn't just a plea. It was a command wrapped in desperation, as if she knew I was the only one who could hear her. I should have walked away. That would have been the smart thing. But something in me cracked open in that moment. Maybe it was the emptiness I'd been carrying for years. Maybe it was the fire in her violet eyes. All I knew was that my life had just split in two. Before her whisper, and after it. The market roared on around us, oblivious. The smell of smoke and iron filled my lungs. Somewhere in the distance, a vendor barked about an unclaimed final offer, his voice echoing across the street. But I heard only her, and against every ounce of reason I had left, I whispered back, though I didn't yet know if she could hear me. I'll try. The city was never truly dark anymore. Ever since the first of their ships blotted out our stars, The night sky had been rewritten in alien light. Their structures rose above the ruins like jagged glass teeth, humming faintly with colors our eyes weren't made to see. They called it progress. To me, it was just another reminder that this world was no longer ours. I walked home that night with her whisper still burning in my ears. Take me away. I couldn't shake it, couldn't drown it beneath the familiar sounds of the city, the clanging of distant machinery, the droning patrol ships overhead, the endless hum of neon that kept the streets alive long after midnight. Humans had adapted, they said. We learned to live beneath their sky. But the truth? We weren't living. We were surviving. Most nights, I worked double shifts at the recycling pits, stripping down rusted machines, hauling alien scraps no one explained to us. They said the tech was advanced, but it was just debris to me, shimmering with a faint pulse I didn't dare touch for too long. The pay was enough for food, sometimes rent, never both. That was life for people like me. But now her face haunted me. The cages weren't supposed to bother me. People whispered about them, sure, but we all knew better than to think too much. You start asking why they're there, and you're next in line. That was the rule. Keep your head down, don't look too closely, don't let your curiosity drag you under. And yet I had looked, and she had looked back. I tried to tell myself it meant nothing. Just a prisoner trying to escape, grasping at the first idiot who made eye contact. But deep down I knew it was more than that. Her eyes weren't desperate. They were sharp, calculating, and burning with something I hadn't seen in years, defiance. That night I barely slept. I kept seeing her against the glow of those alien cages, gold hair tangled, violet eyes unyielding, and the whisper, like it had been stitched into the air itself. Take me away. By the next evening I was back. I told myself it was curiosity, nothing more. I just wanted to know who she was, what kind of creature could look at me with such unbroken fire while surrounded by ruin. The market of shadows was alive again, busier than before. Alien traders with skin like liquid metal haggled over humans like they were livestock. Voices echoed in languages my ears could barely hold. The stench of oil, sweat, and scorched ozone clung to everything. And there she was, Eva. She was seated just as before, her hands folded in her lap like a queen forced into exile. Chains laced around her wrists glimmered faintly, etched with symbols that pulsed every time she shifted. Not just iron. Something else, something alive, biting into her skin like it fed off her. When her eyes found mine again, a flicker of something passed between us. Not relief, not surprise, something heavier, as if she had expected me to return. I moved closer, heart pounding. Words burned on my tongue, but before I could speak, she tilted her head and whispered through the bars. You came back. Her voice was low, melodic, but strained. Each word carried weight, like she wasn't used to speaking my language. I shouldn't be here, I muttered, glancing around. Shadows moved everywhere, guards, traders, buyers. Any of them could decide I didn't belong. And yet you are, she said softly. Humans rarely return to the cages. They are taught to forget what they see. But you, her eyes narrowed. You listened. I swallowed. Who are you? For a long moment she said nothing. Her gaze drifted upward, toward the sky fractured by scaffolding and neon light. Then she leaned forward, close enough I could see faint cracks running along her skin like black veins crawling from her shoulders down her arms. They pulsed faintly with each word. My name is Ava, she said. Once, I was not meant for this place. I was meant to rule. Her words cut through me. Rule? That wasn't the story we were told. Aliens were one united front, a monolith of power that had conquered us with ease. But her tone carried truth, a bitterness that could only come from betrayal. You mean you're... I struggled to find the word. Royalty. Her lips curved into something like a smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. I was. Now I am a commodity, sold like meat. She tilted her head, the chains clinking softly. Until you heard me. My chest tightened. She made it sound so simple, like I could just snap the bars and walk her into freedom. But I knew better. The market was crawling with guards, towering figures draped in armor that shimmered like scales. Humans had tried to resist them before. Those stories always ended in blood. Still, I couldn't stop myself from asking, why me? Her eyes searched mine, unblinking. Because you looked at me and did not look away. Silence stretched between us. The market roared on, but all I could hear was the pounding in my chest. I wanted to leave, to vanish back into anonymity, but my feet rooted to the ground. She had caught me in her gravity. Listen carefully, Oliver, she whispered, voice sharp as glass. I do not belong in this cage. My people, our rulers, fear me more than they fear rebellion. They would rather see me chained than risk what I could awaken. I stared at her, stunned. What could you awaken? Her lips brushed against the iron, close enough for me to see the faint shimmer of alien energy sparking along her skin. Her violet eyes glowed faintly in the neon haze. Hope. The word hit me harder than any truth I'd heard in years. That was the night I stopped pretending the world was simple. That was the night I realized Ava wasn't just another prisoner. She was something far more dangerous, far more important. And for reasons I didn't yet understand, she had chosen me. And from that moment on, I knew nothing under this alien sky would ever be the same. I thought I could forget her. After that night in the market, I tried. I threw myself back into the monotony of labor, burying my hands in rusted alien metal, choking on fumes, letting exhaustion grind me into silence. But no amount of smoke, no hours of sweat, could erase the sound of her whisper. Hope. It haunted me. Days bled together, the city moving like a machine too vast to stop. Patrol ships hummed overhead, scanning with beams that turned shadows into confessionals. Streets pulsed with neon signs written in alien glyphs we couldn't read but learned to obey. Food lines stretched for hours. People vanished. We didn't ask where they went. But I knew where at least some of them ended up. In cages. Every step I took, I swore I'd never return to that market. Yet each night the pull grew stronger, until the silence of my room became unbearable. And so I found myself there again, slipping past checkpoints, weaving through alleys where the air smelled of rust and secrets. Ava was waiting. She sat as before, still caged, still bound, but her eyes lit when she saw me. Not with joy, something sharper. Recognition. You came, she said, her voice soft but edged. I glanced around. The market thrummed with noise, but we were invisible, swallowed in its chaos. I kept my head low, but I couldn't hide the shake in my hands. If anyone sees me, they won't, she interrupted. No one looks closely here. They have been taught not to. Her certainty unsettled me, but I forced the question out. Why? Why call to me? What do you think I can do? She leaned forward, eyes burning violet in the glow of alien lights. Because you are human, and they have forgotten the strength buried in your kind. I almost laughed. Strength? We were slaves in all but name, clinging to scraps of existence. But something in her voice cut through my cynicism. She spoke like someone who knew, not someone who guessed. What are you talking about? I asked. Her gaze darted to the guards, then back to me. Her voice dropped lower, barely audible. The peace they promise you is a lie. My people, what remains of them, came not as saviors but as farmers. This world is their field, and you are soil to be harvested. The words froze me. Harvested? For what? Ava's lips pressed into a thin line. She hesitated, chains rattling as she shifted. For essence, life itself. They do not feed on flesh or blood. They feed on spirit, memory, will. Every broken human you see wandering these streets, hollow-eyed, docile. They are not tired. They are emptied. My stomach turned. I thought of the countless faces I'd seen in food lines, dull and vacant, moving like machines. I thought it was starvation, despair. But now, they're taking pieces of us? I whispered. Until nothing remains, Ava said. Her tone was steady, but her eyes betrayed something deeper, rage. And I was meant to oversee it, to smile, to rule, to keep the harvest quiet. But I refused. And for that, she raised her shackled wrists, the etched chains glowing faintly. I was given this cage. I could barely breathe. Every word she spoke was poison, unraveling the fragile story we'd been fed. For years, humans clung to the idea that surrender bought survival, that alien rule meant no war, no destruction. But if she was right, if we were nothing more than cattle, then everything we had endured was worse than chains. Why tell me this? I asked, voice cracking. Her eyes softened, just for a moment. Because you listened. Because when I said, take me away, you did not laugh or turn or tell the guards. You stayed. Her words pressed against something deep inside me, a place I had buried under years of fear and silence, a place that still wanted to believe in more than survival. But before I could answer, a shadow passed too close. A guard. Towering, faceless, armor glinting with shifting colors. Its head turned toward us and I froze. Ava leaned back, mask of indifference sliding over her face. The guard's gaze lingered, then drifted away. Only when it was gone did Ava speak again, her voice quick, urgent. Oliver, listen to me. I cannot promise you safety. If you choose this path, you will be hunted. But if you walk away now, your kind will fade, and no one will remember you were ever here. I stared at her, pulse hammering. Every instinct screamed to run, to bury this conversation deep and never return. But I couldn't. Not anymore. What do you want me to do? I asked. Ava's lips curved into the faintest smile. Not relief, satisfaction. Come back tomorrow, alone, and bring something sharp. Her chains clinked softly as she leaned back into the shadows, violet eyes never leaving mine. And in that moment, I knew there was no turning back. I didn't sleep after that night. Ava's words carved themselves into me, echoing in every quiet moment. Come back tomorrow, alone, and bring something sharp, as if I could just walk into the market armed and carve her free. The cages weren't metal alone. They hummed with alien symbols, pulsing with energy I couldn't understand. But still, I couldn't ignore her. I didn't want to. For the first time in years, I had something to cling to besides survival. A purpose. The next day dragged like a blade over stone. At work, I barely moved through the motions. The recycling pits were piled high with twisted alien alloys and shards of discarded tech, glowing faintly as if still alive. No one dared to touch the dangerous pieces. Rumors said they could burn straight through bone. But as I sifted through the debris, I found myself searching, heart pounding with reckless hope. I didn't know what I was looking for. A weapon? A tool? Anything that could cut chains not made for human hands. Hours passed, sweat burning my eyes. Then I saw it. A shard of black metal, jagged and heavy, edges faintly glowing with deep blue veins. It hummed when I touched it, alive, vibrating faintly against my skin. Every instinct screamed to drop it, but I couldn't. The weight of it felt right, dangerous yet promising. I slipped it under my jacket. That night I returned. The market of shadows was quieter, but not safe. Fewer buyers, more guards. The air was thick with tension, as if something unseen prowled beneath the surface. My every step felt watched. I found Ava in her cage, her eyes already on me before I arrived. When she saw the shard in my hand, her lips curved into the faintest smile. You listen well, she whispered. I crouched close, my heart pounding. What is this thing? It hums like it's alive. It is alive, she said, eyes glinting. A fragment of Tirith, metal mined from dying stars. Your kind cannot forge it, cannot control it. But it resists the bonds my captors use. She raised her wrists, chains glowing faintly as if in response to the shard. With this, you could cut me free. But not yet. My chest tightened. Then when? Patience, she said softly, though her eyes never softened. If you cut them here, you'll die before the second link falls. The guards feel the chains. They will know the moment one breaks. Then what's the plan? Her lips parted, and for the first time, I saw something dangerous flicker across her face. Not despair, not even hope, but hunger, the kind of hunger that comes from waiting too long in the dark. There is a blind hour, she said, when the guards shift. For a breath of time, they leave their posts to join the procession of trade. It is brief, but it is enough. When it comes, you must strike fast, before the new guard arrives. I swallowed. And what then? Even if we get you out, the market, this city, it's crawling with them. We won't make it 3 streets. Her smile was sharper now. You underestimate me. For the briefest moment, her skin shimmered, just a flicker, like moonlight breaking through clouds. The black veins along her arms pulsed, and the air itself bent faintly around her, like heat rising from stone. Then it was gone. I stared, stunned. What was that? Her voice lowered, velvet over steel. A fragment of what they fear. Enough to shield us, if only for a short while. But I need the chains gone first. The shard in my hands grew heavier, as if it sensed her power, as if it longed to cut. In the nights that followed, I visited her again and again. Always in shadows, always with fear pressing down on my lungs. We whispered through iron bars, piecing together the fragments of escape. She told me where the blind hour fell. She described the rhythm of the guards, the patterns in their patrols. She spoke of the alleyways that twisted beyond the market, routes that led to forgotten tunnels beneath the city. And in turn, I told her of my world. The places I remembered before the ships came. The laughter of a mother long gone. The taste of real rain, not the chemical drizzle that now fell from alien skies. She listened, her violet eyes softer in those moments, as if my words were treasures she had never known. One night, she said quietly, "You're kind, you live so briefly, and yet your memories burn brighter than anything I have seen among my people." I frowned. "Why tell me that?" "Because," she whispered, leaning close, "that brightness is why they fear you. It is why they harvest you. And it is why I chose you." Her words left me hollow and full all at once. I didn't know what she meant by chose, but I knew I could no longer step away. But the market was not blind to me. On my 5th visit, I felt it. Eyes following, steps shadowing. The guards were restless, their stares lingering too long. I kept my head down, but when I reached Ava's cage, her expression told me she'd seen it too. "They suspect," she murmured. "You must be careful. If they catch you here again, they will not cage you. They will drain you." Fear knifed through me, but so did resolve. I tightened my grip on the shard. "Then we move soon." She nodded once. Soon. Her eyes burned into me, fierce and unrelenting. And for the first time since the aliens came, I didn't feel like prey. I felt like something waking. That night, as I slipped away from the market, I whispered a promise I wasn't sure I could keep. "I'll get you out." The shard pulsed faintly against my chest, alive, listening. And in the silence of the neon sky, I thought I heard her voice answer. Not in sound, but in my mind, clear and unshakable. "I know. I should have known it wouldn't stay secret. Nothing in the market of shadows stays hidden forever." For days, Ava and I whispered through iron and chains, mapping the fragile blueprint of her freedom. Every visit pressed me deeper into danger, and every word we traded felt like a step onto a tightrope stretched over fire. Still, I clung to it. For the first time since the skies had burned, I had something worth risking my neck for. But hope is expensive, and someone always pays the blood price. It began the night of the storm. The sky churned with sickly green light, alien clouds flashing as if stitched with lightning made of glass. The city's neon bled into the downpour, painting the streets in rivers of false color. I kept my hood low, the shard of star metal heavy under my coat. Tonight was supposed to be practice. Timing the guards, tracing the blind hour again, sharpening the edge of the plan. When I reached the market, Ava was waiting, her chains glowing faintly in rhythm with the storm. Her violet eyes found me instantly, as if she'd felt my steps before she saw me. "You're late," she murmured. "Storm slowed me," I whispered back, shaking rain from my hands. "No one follows in weather like this." But I was wrong. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught it. A shadow lingering too long near a stall, a figure half hidden beneath a cloak. I felt the weight of their gaze, sharp and cold. My stomach turned to stone. Ava noticed too. Her jaw tightened. "Someone knows." Not yet, I said quickly, though my voice betrayed me. Her fingers flexed against the chains, sparks of faint light skittering across the metal. Then we must move sooner. Tomorrow night at the blind hour. No more delays. My heart stuttered. Tomorrow. Too soon, too reckless, but maybe she was right. The market was growing restless. Guards' eyes lingered longer. Traders grew sharper. Suspicion thickened in the air like smoke. If we waited, we'd be crushed. Tomorrow, I agreed, though the word tasted like ash. But fate doesn't wait for permission. When I returned home that night, the door to my room was already ajar. The lock broken. My blood ran cold. Inside, the room had been ransacked. Drawers overturned. The floor littered with scraps of paper. The few possessions I still had scattered like bones. And on the table, placed neatly where I couldn't miss it, was a mark. A shard of alien chain. They knew. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, gripping the star metal shard until my hand bled, waiting for footsteps outside my door. None came. The silence was worse than any raid. By dawn, I understood the message. They weren't just warning me. They were daring me. The market was boiling when I returned that evening. Guards moved in tighter circles, their armor humming low, weapons shimmering faintly in the wet neon haze. The storm still churned above, casting everything in flickers of unnatural light. And then I saw him, Jero, a co-worker from the pits, gaunt and hollow-eyed, the kind of man who traded dignity for survival long ago. We'd shared smokes in the ruins, talked in half-whispers about the world before the ships. He'd always been restless, desperate, hungry. And now he was here, leaning close to a guard, pointing at me. Betrayal burns colder than any blade. I froze, my chest tight. Jero's eyes met mine for a brief second. No shame, no hesitation, just calculation like a rat choosing which way to run. The guard turned, and the market erupted. They came for me fast, towering figures in scale-like armor, their movements impossibly precise, cutting through the crowd like knives through water. Humans scattered, stalls overturned, the neon light fractured across broken glass. The hum of alien weapons filled the air, a sound that made my bones ache. I ran. Ava's voice cut through the chaos, sharp and commanding. Oliver, the shard. I yanked it free from my coat, the jagged metal alive in my grip, thrumming with violent energy. The guards closed in, weapons raised, but Ava, God's Ava, she moved. Her chains blazed with violet light, the etched runes sparking and sputtering as she rose to her feet. For the first time, I saw her power unmasked. The air bent around her, rippling as if reality itself was folding. Shadows clung to her like armor, her hair whipping in an unseen wind. The guards faltered, their precise steps breaking for a fraction of a second. "Cut them!" she shouted, her voice reverberating, layered with something not human. "Now!" I stumbled forward, the shard biting into my palm. The chains hissed as I brought the edge against them. Sparks flew, blue and violet, alien fire spitting across the ground. The metal screamed, alive, resisting. Then it split. One shackle fell, clattering against the cage floor. Ava gasped, her body trembling as if something long starved was suddenly fed. The air pulsed. The guards roared, if you could call that sound a roar, and charged. I struck again. The second chain split, the shard vibrating violently, nearly tearing from my grip. Ava's eyes flared bright violet, and with a guttural cry, she wrenched free. What happened next seared itself into me forever. Ava lifted her hands, and the world shattered. Light exploded outward, not blinding but devouring, folding shadows into spears that tore through the market. Stalls splintered, cages shattered. Guards were thrown like ragdolls into walls that cracked under the force. The air was alive with her fury, vibrating with a sound too low for ears, too deep for words. I collapsed, shielding my head, the shard humming like it was screaming. When the light dimmed, the market was ruin, and Ava stood unchained. Her chest heaved, her gown torn, black veins glowing across her skin like rivers of fire. She looked both terrifying and magnificent, a queen risen from her grave. The surviving guards rallied, weapons crackling with energy. Jero was gone. Coward had fled the moment blood spilled. Ava turned to me, her eyes blazing. Run! I staggered to my feet, my ears ringing, my body heavy with shock. She grabbed my arm, her grip searing, pulling me into motion. Together we plunged into the chaos, weaving through wreckage and bodies, the neon sky flashing above us like judgment. The market howled behind us, alarms shrieking, alien voices echoing with fury. But we didn't stop. We couldn't. We tore through alleys slick with rain, our footsteps splashing in the drowned neon. My lungs burned, my legs screamed, but Ava never slowed. Even weakened, freshly freed, she moved with a grace that defied exhaustion. Shadows clung to her still, bending the light around her, cloaking us just enough to slip past searching eyes. At last, we collapsed beneath the crumbling awning of an abandoned shop. I doubled over, gasping, the shard still glowing faintly in my hand. Ava leaned against the wall, trembling, her violet eyes dim but fierce. You did it? I wheezed, hardly believing the words. You're free. She looked at me, and for the first time her expression softened. Truly softened. No, Oliver. We are free. Her hand brushed mine. Light, fleeting, but enough to burn hotter than fire. But the sirens wailed louder, closer. The city was waking to our crime. Ava straightened, her strength returning with every breath. Her voice hardened, sharp as steel. This was only the beginning. They will hunt us. They will never stop. Do you understand? I nodded, fear and exhilaration tangling in my chest. I understand. And I did. The blood price had been paid. Now came the war. The city never truly sleeps. Even now, as Ava and I stumbled through its back veins, the hum of alien engines and the flicker of neon signs followed us like restless ghosts. Rain-slicked streets glistened, reflecting broken shards of light across walls covered in glyphs I still couldn't read. Somewhere above, the sirens shrieked, patrols hunting, scanners tearing through the darkness in sharp beams. We had done the impossible. Broken her chains, shattered the market. But freedom felt fragile, a glass thing balanced in shaking hands. We ducked into a gutted warehouse on the edge of the industrial ruins. The place smelled of rust and mold, machines left to rot decades ago when humans stopped being masters of their own cities. Ava moved like she belonged even here, every step precise, her gown clinging to her in tatters, shadows curling faintly around her like a living cloak. I collapsed against a wall, chest heaving. The shard still pulsed faintly in my hand, whispering with a vibration that felt too alive. Ava's eyes found me through the gloom, violet, sharp, unyielding. You bleed, she said, voice low but steady. I glanced down. My palm was torn raw from gripping the shard, blood streaking my fingers. Not the worst thing that's happened tonight, I muttered, forcing a shaky laugh. She moved toward me, and for the first time, I felt the weight of her presence without bars between us. Even weakened, even trembling, she carried herself with a power that bent the room around her. She knelt, took my hand with surprising gentleness, and studied the wound. Her touch was cool, almost soothing, though the veins along her arms still glowed faintly, like fire beneath glass. This metal is not kind to your flesh, she murmured, tracing the shard with her gaze. Yet it listens to you. That should not be possible. I swallowed hard. Maybe it likes me. Her lips curved, not quite a smile, but something close. Or maybe you are not as ordinary as you believe. The words cut deeper than she knew. For years I'd thought of myself as nothing. Just another worker, another survivor trying not to be noticed. And yet here I was, bleeding for an alien queen, hunted by an empire I barely understood. Why don't you tell me the truth? I asked, pulling my hand back gently. You're not just some prisoner. You're not just anyone they dragged into a cage. Who are you really, Ava? Silence pressed thick between us. Rain hammered the broken windows above, the sirens distant but relentless. At last, she stood, her figure tall against the fractured light spilling through cracks in the roof. Her voice changed when she spoke. Not soft, not secretive, but commanding, like thunder clothed in silk. I am not Ava, she said. Not to my people. My true name is Avriel Chari, first heir of the High Spire, bearer of the sigil flame. I was born to rule, to inherit a throne older than your species' memory of fire. My kind bowed when I spoke. Armies marched at my breath. The air in the warehouse seemed to shiver with her words. She wasn't boasting. She was remembering. I stared, throat dry. A queen. Yes, she said. Her eyes met mine, burning. And now, in their fear, they call me traitor. They whisper that my fire will consume the harvest. That I would rather see your kind rise than see my kind feed. And for that, they sold me to silence. My head spun. All those nights of whispered plans, all the fragments she'd let slip. It all clicked now. She wasn't just rebelling against her captors. She was rebelling against an empire. You refuse to rule them, I said slowly. I refuse to break you, she corrected. The words hit me harder than I expected. I thought of the hollow-eyed workers in the pits, the empty stares in the food lines, the way people moved like shadows stripped of fire. She had seen it too, and instead of feeding on it, she had defied it. You risked everything, I said. For us. Her face hardened. Do not mistake me for a savior, Oliver. I did not do it for all of you. I did it because your kind reminded me of what mine has lost. Fire, memory, defiance. They feed on you because you still possess what we squandered. Her gaze softened just slightly. And because I saw it burning in your eyes when you looked at me. My breath caught. She had chosen me. Out of all the faces in that market, out of all the humans she could have whispered to, she had chosen me. But the weight of her truth pressed down like stone. If they find out who you really are, they already know, she said. Her voice was sharp now, certain. And they will come, not for a prisoner, not for a fugitive, for their queen. The warehouse seemed smaller, tighter, as if the walls were listening. I could almost feel the city tightening its noose. So what now? I asked, though my voice cracked. Ava moved closer, her presence overwhelming, her violet eyes pulling me in. Now you must decide if you are my jailer or my shield. You freed me once. But freedom is fragile, Oliver. To keep it, you must bleed more. Much more. She raised her hand, fingers brushing my cheek. The touch was delicate, almost human. But beneath it I felt the hum of power, restrained and dangerous. I will not force you, she whispered. But if you stay, you will never again be invisible. You will be hunted, broken, tested until you either burn or become ash. Do you understand? I looked at her, at the queen cloaked in ruin, at the woman who had whispered to me through bars, at the alien who had chosen hope over harvest. And though fear clawed at me, though my mind screamed to run, I knew my answer. I'm not leaving you. For the first time, her expression cracked. Relief, maybe even gratitude. She leaned forward, her forehead brushing mine, and in the silence of that ruined warehouse, beneath the alien sirens and the broken sky, a bond formed stronger than chains. We were no longer prisoner and rescuer, no longer alien and human. We were fire, together. The nights blurred together after Ava revealed who she was. Every step through the ruined alleys felt heavier, as if the city itself leaned closer, listening. We never stayed anywhere more than a few hours. Patrols thickened, searchlights swept lower, and every time I looked at Ava, I couldn't decide if I was protecting her, or if she was protecting me. The shard throbbed at my side, a reminder of the chain I had already broken, and the chain still tightening around my neck. It happened on the fourth night. We were holed up in what used to be a subway station. The tracks rusted, tunnels stretching into blackness. Ava sat with her back to the wall, her violet eyes half closed but never asleep. I was pacing, restless, nerves crawling like ants beneath my skin. That's when I heard it. A voice. Human. Oliver. I froze. Came from the tunnel, soft, familiar. My brother's voice. But my brother had died years ago, when the ships descended and the harvest began. I'd seen his body carried away. I'd buried what little remained. And yet the voice came again, echoing off stone. Oliver, come closer. Don't let her hear. Ava's eyes snapped open. She sat straighter, every muscle tense. What is it? Nothing. I lied too quickly. Just rats. But I was already moving. I followed the sound into the tunnel, deeper until the light of our campfire died. My heart hammered against my ribs. The shadows thickened, shapes forming where none should be. And then I saw him, or something wearing his face. He stood in the gloom, pale, smiling faintly. My brother, just as I remembered him, though his eyes shimmered faintly, like oil on water. Hello, Ollie, he said. Been a long time. My stomach turned. You're not real. Real enough, he said, tilting his head. Real enough to talk. Real enough to offer you something better than running through gutters with her. My throat went dry. This is a trick. Of course, he said easily. But it's a good one. You want to hear the bargain. I should have walked away. I should have run back to Ava. But the thing had his voice, his face. And I was tired, so goddamn tired of bleeding, of hiding, of waking every night to the sound of alien machines scraping the sky. What bargain? I whispered. His smile widened. Give her to us. Lead her to a place where the chains can be fastened again. You don't even have to touch her. Just bring her. We'll do the rest. Anger flared through my fear. So you can kill her? Not kill. Preserve. Harvest. The word rolled from his lips like ash. Do you know what she is, Ollie? Do you know how dangerous it is to keep her free? She's not just a runaway. She's a firestorm waiting to burn your whole species to ash. You think she whispers freedom. But what happens when her own kind find her? They won't just kill her. They'll punish every one of you for daring to hide her. My chest tightened. She's different. She's a queen, he snapped, eyes flashing. Queens don't love. Queens don't choose. They rule. And when her throne calls, you'll just be another shadow she steps over. Do you want to die for that? I shook my head, backing away. You're lying. He stepped closer, the shimmer in his eyes burning brighter now, the illusion fraying at the edges. We can give you more than lies. Shelter, protection, a name among the chosen. Imagine it. Food every day, warmth, a place where no patrol hunts you. You could be more than invisible, Oliver. You could matter. All it takes is one whisper. Lead her to us. And you live. His words sank like hooks. I thought of the hunger that gnawed at me daily, the stench of the pits, the way people avoided my eyes as if hope itself were forbidden. And then I thought of Ava. Violet eyes burning, power trembling beneath her skin. She had trusted me. She had leaned her forehead against mine. And now the universe itself dangled betrayal before me. I clenched the shard until it bit into my palm. If you know my name, then you know my answer. The figure's smile faltered. For the first time, its eyes turned cold. You'll regret this. It dissolved into shadow, the tunnel empty once more. When I returned, Ava was waiting. You spoke with them, she said flatly. Not a question. I froze. How? Her eyes were hard, unyielding. I felt it. Their reach. The threads they wove around your mind. They will not stop, Oliver. They will use every face you loved, every memory you buried. They will poison you with promises until you no longer know which voice is yours. My chest heaved. They offered me safety, food, place to belong. All I had to do was... I couldn't finish. Give me back, she said. Her tone was calm, but the fire beneath it was unmistakable. Silence hung heavy. My throat burned as if I'd swallowed glass. You should know, she continued, voice lower now. This is not the last time. They will tempt you again. And when they do, you must decide not once, but every time. Every day. Her eyes softened then, though her body remained taut as a drawn bow. Do you hate me for what you carry now? I shook my head, fighting to breathe. No. I just don't know if I'm strong enough. She stepped closer, the air bending faintly around her. Her hand brushed mine, cool against the bloodied shard. You are stronger than you believe. That is why I chose you. Not because you are unbreakable, but because when you break, you mend sharper. Her words seared into me. I wanted to believe them. God, I wanted to. But somewhere in the shadows of my mind, the voice still lingered. The promise of survival. The whisper of betrayal. That night, as Ava drifted into something close to rest, I sat awake with the shard on my lap, staring into its blue veins pulsing like a heartbeat. And I wondered, not for the first time, if I was her savior, or her doom. The sky split open before dawn. I felt it before I saw it, the vibration crawling through concrete, the air charged as though the world itself was holding its breath. Then came the roar, engines screaming, and the clouds lit with fire. Dropships, dozens, maybe hundreds. They had found us. Ava stood at the edge of the ruined subway entrance, her silhouette framed against the glowing horizon. The violet in her eyes had sharpened to a blaze, fierce and unyielding. She didn't look afraid. She looked ready. My stomach churned. I clutched the shard in my fist, my palm already raw from the edges. We can't fight all of them. She didn't turn. No, but we can show them why they should fear trying. I swallowed hard. Ava! Her gaze met mine, and in that instant I saw not just the alien queen, not just the exile, but the woman who had whispered to me through bars, who had trusted me when trust was death. We end this tonight, she said. The first wave descended fast. Armored figures poured from the ships, faceless, their rifles humming with pale energy. Sirens wailed through the streets, echoing off broken towers. Ava raised her hand. The air cracked. Shadows coiled around her arm like serpents of flame and smoke. When she released it, the wave of force shattered the pavement, sending the first squad scattering like dry leaves. I had never seen power like that. Not raw destruction, but command. Like the earth itself bowed when she spoke. And yet, even as awe surged in me, fear gnawed too, because I knew every burst of her fire would draw more, and more, until there was nothing left of us but ash. Oliver, she called, her voice slicing through the chaos. Stay with me. I ran to her side, heart hammering. Energy blasts cracked around us, searing holes in the concrete. I ducked behind a pillar, raised the shard instinctively, and to my shock it answered. The blue veins lit, a shield erupting around me. The alien fire struck it, bending, warping, but not piercing. Ava's eyes widened. It listens to you. I didn't have time to question it. I pushed forward, the shard humming, and together we drove into the storm. Hours blurred into fire and smoke. We cut through wave after wave, but they never stopped. Every street was a battlefield. Every rooftop swarmed with soldiers. The city burned, and somewhere in the distance, I heard human voices rising. Not screams this time, but shouts. Defiant. The rebellion had lit. And yet, deep inside me, the echo of Section 7 lingered. The bargain. The whisper of my brother's face. All I had to do was step aside. All I had to do was betray her. The thought stabbed at me even as I fought. Because survival was still a hunger that gnawed. And I was still human. We fell back into a shattered plaza at dawn. The last of the dropships hovered above like vultures, and at their heart descended something different. Not soldiers. An envoy. Tall, draped in silver, eyes burning like frozen suns. Its voice shook the air as it spoke, not with words but with resonance that scraped my bones. Avriel Chari, return to the spire. Kneel, and we will spare the cattle you shelter. Ava's chin lifted. Spare them? You mean leave them to starve until you feed again? You mean chains, collars, cages? No, I will not kneel. The envoy's gaze slid to me, cold, cutting. And you, human, you carry what was not meant for you. Do you not crave freedom from her shadow? One step, one choice. Hand her to us, and you will be more than you ever dreamed. The bargain, again, in front of her. My knees buckled, my chest burned. I could feel Ava's eyes on me, but I couldn't meet them. The shard pulsed like a living heart, whispering power, whispering hunger. All I had to do was extend it, surrender her, and I would live. Live. Ava's voice broke the storm inside me. Quiet. Steady. Oliver. Look at me. I did. And in her gaze I saw not power, not command, but trust. A trust so complete it terrified me. They will always tempt you, she said softly. But only you decide who you are. My throat closed. Tears stung my eyes. And in that moment the weight shattered. I turned to the envoy, raised the shard, and screamed, "She's not yours!" Light erupted. The shard burst into fire that wasn't fire. A wave that roared outward, tearing the plaza open. The envoy staggered, its silver form cracking. Ava moved beside me, her hands blazing with violet flame, and together we hurled everything we were into the sky. The dropships burned. The soldiers fell. The air itself tore apart, flames raining like stars. For a heartbeat, the city was silent. Then cheers. Human voices, hundreds, maybe thousands, rising from the ruins. The rebellion wasn't just lit. It was alive. When the dust settled, Ava collapsed. I caught her before she struck the ground, her body trembling, her fire dimmed. "You chose," she whispered, her lips brushing my ear. I held her close. "Always." She smiled, small, weary, real. "Then maybe your kind will survive after all." I looked at the horizon, where smoke curled into dawn, and for the first time in years, I believed it. Not because of her power, but because we had chosen each other. And that choice burned brighter than any chain.